Alright gang, welcome back to another video. It's that time of the week where I look at how much I've made selling options for the week. We do this every weekend now, and I think it's cool to hype myself up by seeing these numbers. I'm very excited when I see these numbers because it keeps reminding me, not that I really need it, but it keeps reminding me how much is possible with selling options. And hopefully you guys enjoy the content too. And if you do, consider hitting that subscribe button so you can follow along. I've been documenting me selling options, trying to make like an extra side income for maybe I've been posting on here for the last year now. I'm not too sure, but it's been quite a while. And if you also want to help out the channel and are thinking about selling options on your own someday, I do have a course. It's linked down in the description. It's not super expensive like all these other people selling their course, but it can get you on the right track to sell your own options if you decide to do so someday. So check that out if you're interested. But if we hop over to Robinhood, the count is up for the past week, $8,000, and this is from a combination of appreciation and selling options, but mostly appreciation. Stocks are at an all-time high, so it's a little bit concerning to sell puts when stocks are up so significantly. It can kind of mess with your psyche that maybe you should, and maybe it's a valid point, maybe you shouldn't sell puts at all-time highs. But we'll talk about how I'm doing the exact opposite, and I am selling puts at all-time highs. I did that last Friday. But this account is also up not only from appreciation that you see here, but I've actually added a bit of money to this account as well. So I don't want to be one of those guys that tries to fool you and say, oh, look how much I made and look how much the account's up, and in the background add some money to the account. I want to be completely transparent. I liquidated a smaller portfolio I had over on the SoFi app, and I put some of it in here, some of it's in my savings as a buffer, and just wanted to let you guys know that as well. But the reason you're probably here is you want to know how much I made in the past week selling options. And if you sell options on Robinhood, you can actually answer this question for yourself using my new web app that I've been developing. It's in beta right now. You can go check it out, selloptions.net. You can upload your Robinhood statement, and it tells you all the metrics you want to know when you sell options. Because before, I was entering all these transactions, all these options I sold manually in a spreadsheet like this. And you can see I made 64 trades, at least until I stopped using this spreadsheet in the month of May. And when you start trading this many times in a month, it's really hard to keep track of all of these options and manually enter all of this data. So that's what made me come up with this web app where I could just have something analyze this for me and give me the data that I actually care about. So if we take my statement from the past week and I upload it on this app, we can go down and look at the metrics. So this is from June 23rd to the 27th, so last week. I've sold to open $4,600 worth of options. I also bought to close about $3,100, and this is from either just buying the close if they get near being worthless, or majority of this is probably from rolling options, because part of rolling an option is buying the close, the current option. I made 68 trades in the past week, so you can see, like I said, how much time this would take if I logged these trades manually in a spreadsheet. And then the number I really care about, and hopefully you do too, how much did I actually make? Because that's all that really matters. Are we making money from selling options? Yeah, $1,500 in the past week selling options. This might be an all-time high for me. I feel like I'm on repeat each week when I do these videos because it's always a new all-time high, and some week I'm just going to be way lower because it's going to be an anomaly, and maybe I don't make many trades that one week, but for now we're keeping the streak alive of just crushing how much I've made. And I'm super grateful, super thankful. I don't want you to think I take this for granted, because I don't. This is a substantial amount of money to me, and I'm super proud that I'm able to do this. And there are people out there, I'm sure, that are making like 10 times this. So it may not be the most on YouTube, but I'm pretty excited about it. And then if we break it down by income per ticker, so what stocks am I selling options on that's making me money? Here are all the different ticker symbols I've sold options on this week. If we sort by income, we can see Robinhood is number one with almost $600 I made in premium selling options on it. And then SoFi, which probably isn't a surprise to anyone that's seen other videos, $442. And these two make up, it looks like, the majority. And if we look at the pie chart over here, very much so the majority of the premium that I made in the past week. Down below, we have the individual transactions. I'm actually working on this part as we speak to make it a little more useful in case people want to look at what are all the individual transactions that I made to make up this number right here. So yeah, if you're interested, go check it out. I don't keep anyone's data that they upload to it, so this is all temporary that you see right here. It's not stored in a database somewhere. The only thing I keep track of is a tally of how many times people upload stuff, because I want to see if people are using this app, and then how many total rows of data are we processing over time. So I think right now we're at like 21,000 rows of data that people have uploaded. And thank you so much for those of you that have used it. I hope you like it. I'm continuing to add to it and make it better. And hopefully it saves you as much time as it does me when you're trying to figure out how much you make. But last Friday, I did something probably pretty risky. I sold puts on some companies that are at their all-time high. And for example, I sold an $81 put on Robinhood on Friday. That was actually part of a roll. If you want to see the full breakdown of this one particular trade, you can go to my last video where I talked about this. So I made $114 rolling from a put that I sold on Robinhood that was expiring last Friday to this coming Friday. And I made $114 doing so. And this is, like I said, at a strike price of $81 and Robinhood sitting at 83. So it's pretty scary to sell puts when stocks are at a high, and that's typically when I like to put on the brakes and just let things cool off a little bit and just see where things are long term. But I ended up chasing some of the money and some of the premium, and yeah, I made decent premium, but that's the price that I pay when I sell options and I sell puts. It's not completely risk-free. Robinhood could tank next week for some reason, and then I'm stuck holding 100 shares at $81 a piece, or I have to roll this option to try to recover from this trade. So will this bite me selling options that the stocks are at all-time highs? I will keep you guys posted because, like you, I also want to know the answer to that. And we'll see the answer to that come this Friday. But on the flip side, when stocks are at all-time highs, that's also a great time to start selling covered calls on the stock. For instance, I sold a lot of $17.50 SoFi calls that expire, not this coming Friday, but the next Friday. And this was before SoFi took off even further. What is it sitting at right now? It's at $17.22. But when you have a lot of shares like I do in a company that you would like to sell covered calls on, when stocks are at all-time highs or near all-time highs, or the market itself is at all-time highs, you might want to consider selling covered calls on that. So even though I've been selling covered calls continuously on SoFi week in, week out, this week was no exception. So yeah, that's how much I made this week selling options. And this isn't all of my money. I don't want you to think like this is the only portfolio I have and I'm being super risky with it, because yes, it is a little bit risky. I don't know if it's considered super risky, but I do have some other money just in broad index funds. So I do just use a subset of my portfolio to sell options on, just FYI. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to go check out my web app and try it out for yourself, feel free to do so. And I hope to see you in a future video.